Good morning, class. It's a little bit chilly this morning, and goodness notice, I have had such a time reading your papers. As you know, I read all of your papers in the draft form. I commented on them, and now I have graded them all and gotten them back to you. One thing you should know about my rubric is that it's pretty tough. I kind of make up for that in having a pretty easy rubric for the little assignments, the discussion posts. So if you're freaking out because you're like, oh my gosh, a B minus, this is gonna ruin me. Your grade in Canvas right now is such a teeny, teeny, tiny percentage of your grade overall for the class. It's fine. Just... Oh, I feel so much better. I don't know if you'll feel better. Anyway, so I'm back. It's me, Margaret France, Dr. France, she, her, and a couple of things that I noticed about the papers. A lot of you did really well. Some of you who did less well, it was really clear to me that you did not look at the sample paper and that you did not either participate in the workshop or return to your work after the workshop. What you handed in for the final was not significantly improved from what you'd handed in before. Here's the thing. Your fellow students and me, we're reading, we're giving you comments, we're giving you feedback. You can accept or reject it, but you're given so much time to revise in my class, and it's not because I'm like, oh, it's an easy class, I'll give you an assignment like every 3 weeks. No. I have the expectation that when you get those comments and when you're given that time, that you're gonna take that time, because this is how you become a great writer. You are a better writer after you write something. So when you go back to the paper that you've written, you are a better writer than the writer that started that paper. Let that better writer work on your paper. If I were subbed out, if for whatever reason some clone came and took over my life, I would be really upset because I love my life. But if that clone was better at teaching than I am, I guess I'd have to say, sure, clone sister Margaret, take over my class. I'm actually a twin, but not identical. So this is not like a recurring nightmare or anything for me. Speaking of recurring nightmares, we are coming upon a section of the course that I'm really excited about because I've never taught it before. And this is my first time doing this course with a mental illness kind of block of texts. So we've listened to Placebo, and some of you have already watched the Maria Bamford special. It's available for very little money on YouTube or Amazon. If you have a Netflix login, or if you have your friends or your ex-girlfriends, whoever's Netflix login, it's just right there on Netflix. So for you, it is free. And it's only an hour. It's an incredibly funny stand-up, but it's also a really good way to sort of set the tone for us in looking at texts that are both audio and visual. So as you're watching it, if you haven't posted yet, don't just think about the material. Don't just think of it as a text that is written and that is about words. This is actually a text that has been very carefully framed. The images are important. That's why they're there. So you can comment on the images. You can read the images. And speaking of reading images, I'm very excited about our next text, Marbles. Does this book look familiar to you? If this book does not look familiar to you, go on the YVC bookstore website, get the ISBN, and order this book as quickly as possible because you will need it next week. We are reading the whole thing. It's a graphic novel, and when you look at a picture that's telling a story, and this is also true of the Maria Bamford special, ask questions of that visual. Who am I in this scene based on where I've been positioned as the viewer, right? Because they forced your position as the viewer. What else is going on in the frame? Where is the action happening in the frame that is important, right? So for example, I am not a director. I am only a minor visual artist. So when I'm making you a video, my number one concern is, am I warm enough? Can you see me? Can you hear me? And you can tell that by looking at this. Oh my gosh, look at where I positioned myself in this frame. Now, wouldn't it be more interesting if I shot the video from here And then as a viewer, you're asked to look for me in the frame. You're asked to think, why isn't she talking to us? Why is she gesturing up? When I talk this way in my videos to my students, it's like I'm begging you for things, right? It's like I'm in a place where you are looking down on me. I am beckoning you. I am looking for mercy, right? But I'm not creative like that. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just going to be face on in the middle. So boring, right? And you might not articulate to yourself what those positions mean in the frame, but you know them because you've been looking at visual text your whole life. And so start asking yourself questions about, where am I in this scene based on where I'm looking at what's happening? And what am I supposed to think about what I'm watching based on where it is in the scene? Just some easy questions to get you started looking at visual rhetoric is what it's called. And so a couple of other things that I wanted to bring up. If I said in your comments that you needed to look at the sample paper, look at the sample paper. If you go to the Purdue OWL website, there's a whole section on MLA and MLA formatting, and you just scroll through, read the things, look at the examples. And for some people, that's a really great way to learn. For other people, they just want to see a model, which is why I made a model. If you hand in a paper, not just to me, but to any of your college teachers, and it is single-spaced and it doesn't have headings, and the paragraphs aren't indented, and, for example, the instructor's name is wrong, or the date doesn't make any sense, I hate to say this, but first impressions matter, and that's the first impression that you're giving in your paper. So if you can get these kind of like boring, silly, like non-content things right, then your teacher comes to your paper ready to like it. If your teacher sees that the paper hasn't paid any attention to that stuff, it's going to feel to that reader that it's careless. Because here's the thing, you're preparing your work for a specific audience. So if that audience has asked for something, give it to them. If I give you an assignment where I want you to write me 4 haikus, and I see like big blocks of text, haikus are 5-syllable line, 7-syllable line, 5-syllable line, right? So very short. And I just see big blocks of text, I'm going to know that you didn't care enough to read the directions, right? And that's going to make me as a person feel like my directions weren't important to you. Okay, so get going on special. Get going on getting this book if you don't have it yet. You're really going to enjoy reading it. A little bit of a content warning. It's about depression. It's about artistic and sexual identity. And there's nudity in it. Guess what? You're in college. That's fine. I would say, though, if you are somebody who's struggled with mental health issues, which I think, I'm going to raise my hand, that rather than saying that this is going to be necessarily triggering or something like that, I think that it's just good to know going in that is what we're doing. That's what we're doing here in this class because it's about health and mental health is part of health. It's just so good to see you all. Thank you so much for sitting and chatting with me this morning. Again, please reach out to me. You have my phone number. You have my email. I have office hours every day. Oh, not every day. Tuesday through Thursday from 8 to 10, I think. But honestly, text me. We can set up a time, or just call me or email me. All right. Y'all take care. Y'all stay warm.